Welcome to a fascinating exploration of history's most eccentric rulers. Today we delve into the lives of 5 rulers known for their bizarre, outrageous, and sometimes terrifying reigns. Let's uncover the stories that have made them infamous through the ages. Gaius Caesar, Augustus Germanicus, better known as Caligula, became the Roman emperor in AD 37. His accession to power was initially met with public approval, as he was the beloved son of the popular Germanicus and seemed a promising change from the perceived tyranny of his predecessor, Tiberius. However, Caligula's reign soon turned into a spectacle of excess, cruelty, and apparent madness, making him one of the most notorious emperors in Roman history. Caligula's early reign was marked by acts of generosity towards the people and the Senate, but after a severe illness in AD 37-38, his behavior changed drastically. He began spending extravagantly on luxurious construction projects, including building 2 large ships on Lake Nemi, adorned with gold and jewels. These projects drained the imperial treasury, which he attempted to refill through false accusations and the confiscation of estates. One of the most infamous anecdotes about Caligula is his treatment of his horse, Incitatus. He gave the horse a marble stall, an ivory manger, and even planned to appoint it as a consul, demonstrating his disregard for Roman political institutions and traditions. Caligula's actions were seen as insulting and degrading to the Senate and the Roman elite. Caligula's reign was also marked by cruelty and bizarre behavior. He is said to have ordered the execution of people without trial, engaged in incestuous relations with his sisters, and claimed to be a living god. He demanded public worship and had the heads of various statues of gods removed and replaced with his own. His erratic and tyrannical behavior made him many enemies, and his reign ended with his assassination by members of his own Praetorian Guard in AD 41, just 4 years after becoming emperor. The assassination was followed by a brief period of chaos until his uncle Claudius was proclaimed the new emperor. Caligula's legacy is complex. While some sources depict him as a mad tyrant, others suggest that some of the stories of his excess and cruelty might be exaggerated or the product of political propaganda by his enemies. Nonetheless, his reign is often cited as an example of the potential dangers of absolute power and the corruption it can bring. Ivan IV Vasilievich, better known as Ivan the Terrible, was the first Tsar of Russia, a title he assumed in 1547. His reign, which began when he was just 16 years old, started on a promising note with reforms that aimed to centralize and strengthen the Russian state. He revised the legal code, reformed the army, and sought to expand Russian territory. However, the latter half of his reign was overshadowed by a descent into paranoia, brutality, and tyranny that earned him the moniker Terrible. Ivan's major contribution to Russian expansion was his successful conquest of the Khanates of Kazan, Astrakhan, and Siberia, extending Russian territory to the east. These military successes, however, were marred by his increasingly despotic rule. His deep-seated paranoia was exacerbated by the death of his beloved wife, Anastasia Romanovna, which he attributed to the treachery of the aristocracy. In response, Ivan established the Oprichnina in 1565, a separate state within Russia policed by his own personal guard, the Oprichniki. They were notorious for their extreme cruelty and were a tool for Ivan to wield absolute power, bypassing traditional aristocratic councils. The Oprichnina led to widespread repression, mass killings, and confiscation of land from the nobility. The most horrific episode of Ivan's reign was the massacre of Novgorod in 1570. Accusing the city of treason, Ivan and his Oprichniki unleashed a campaign of terror, resulting in the deaths of thousands, ranging from the city's elite to common citizens. This event stands as one of the darkest in Russian history and a stark example of Ivan's ruthlessness. Ivan's personal life was no less tumultuous. He married 8 times, often under dubious circumstances, and his wives often met untimely and mysterious deaths. His notorious temper led to a tragic incident in 1581, where in a fit of rage he struck and killed his son and heir, Ivan Ivanovich. This act left Ivan filled with remorse and further destabilized his rule. The latter years of Ivan's reign were marked by failed military campaigns, widespread famine, and a weakening of the centralized state he had worked so hard to build. When he died in 1584, he left behind a Russia that was more extensive in territory, but deeply scarred by his policies of terror and repression. Now we explore the reign of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, a ruler whose quest for immortality and absolute control led to extraordinary achievements and equally extraordinary acts of tyranny. Ascending to the throne as a young king, Qin Shi Huang was a visionary leader. His most notable accomplishments include the unification of China, the standardization of Chinese script, currency, and measurements, and initiating the construction of the Great Wall to fend off invasions. However, Qin Shi Huang's rule was also marked by extreme paranoia and authoritarianism. He ordered the burning of books and burying of scholars to suppress intellectual dissent. His obsession with finding an elixir of immortality led to widespread misery. He consumed various potions which likely contained mercury, contributing to his deteriorating health and eventual death. His most grandiose project was the Terracotta Army, an immense collection of sculptures depicting his armies, built to protect him in the afterlife. This project, involving thousands of laborers, reflects his obsession with death and the afterlife. His death in 210 BC led to the quick fall of the Qin dynasty, but his legacy as a unifier and a tyrant remains a pivotal chapter in Chinese history. Qin Shi Huang's life is a testament to the extremes of imperial ambition and the human desire to conquer mortality. King Ludwig II of Bavaria, often referred to as the fairy tale king, was a monarch who lived in a world of fantasy and extravagant dreams. His reign, starting in 1864, was marked by an obsession with grandiose architectural projects and an aloofness from political realities. Ludwig's passion for the arts, especially his patronage of composer Richard Wagner, influenced much of his life and reign. He constructed several iconic castles, including Neuschwanstein, a fantastical creation that later inspired Disney's Cinderella Castle. His other projects, like the opulent Linderhof Palace and the unfinished Herrenchiemsee, were testaments to his love for extravagance. Despite his contributions to the arts, Ludwig's reign was plagued by controversy. His disinterest in politics and obsession with personal projects led to tensions with the government and his eventual deposition on grounds of mental incapacity. His mysterious death in 1886, found drowned under unexplained circumstances, has fueled speculation and legend. Ludwig's legacy is complex. While his castles have become major tourist attractions and cultural landmarks, his reign is a reminder of the dangers of disconnecting from reality and the fine line between genius and madness. Our final tale is that of King George III of Great Britain, a monarch whose reign was marked by both political turmoil and personal tragedy. His rule, which spanned from 1760 to 1820, was a period of significant change, including the loss of the American colonies. George III's political decisions, notably his handling of the American Revolution, have been a subject of debate. His insistence on colonial control contributed to the escalation of conflict, leading to the eventual independence of the United States. However, his reign also saw the expansion of the British Empire and advancements in areas like agriculture and industry. George III's personal life was overshadowed by his struggle with mental illness, which manifested in episodes of acute mania and delirium. The king's illness, likely caused by the genetic disorder porphyria, led to periods of regency and had a profound impact on his reign. The public's reaction to his illness and his eventual recovery helped change perceptions of mental health in Britain. His legacy is a story of a king who witnessed the reshaping of the world, battled personal demons, and whose reign encapsulated the complexities of leadership in a changing world. These rulers, with their unparalleled eccentricities and dramatic lives, remind us that history is shaped not just by events, but by the extraordinary characters of those who lead. Their stories of power, madness, and legacy continue to fascinate and instruct us in the unpredictable nature of human history. Thank you for joining us on this exploration through the annals of history. We hope these stories have intrigued and enlightened you. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more historical adventures. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating tales of the past.